Hey everybody, happy 2022 and welcome back to another D&D Beyond dev update. Two questions to answer right off the back if you're new. Well, first of all, if you're new, welcome. Glad you're here. Two questions to answer for you, new viewer. What is D&D Beyond? D&D Beyond is a digital tool set that makes D&D Beyond that makes D&D easier to play. Pretty simple. If the game has always seemed really interesting to you, but you've always felt a little overwhelmed by it. Like there's a ton of stuff. There's lots of books. There's math. Blah, uh, we make it super easy to play. It's a cool place to be. It's a cool place to work. It's a cool mission to have to make this game a little easier for you. The dev update is our weekly stream where we let you know what's coming up with the service. What's for sale. What features are coming up. What we've got coming down the pipeline. Keep y'all abreast of what is going on. If you are watching this on YouTube in the future, hi, hello. Here's how these videos usually work. The first half is our timeline, our roadmap. I'll call it our roadmap. Timeline we don't like to use because in the world of deving, timelines change really rapidly, really quickly. So we call it our roadmap. There are hopes and dreams. There are goals for the year. The second half of the video is typically a demo or an interview with one of our devs so we can deep dive into a topic a little bit, sort of dig into their minds as to why we're approaching something a certain way or why we've prioritized something like that. So if you just want the roadmap, the first 10, 12 minutes of this video is for you. If you want to dive a little deeper, the second half is usually going to be for you. Today, just the roadmap. And then, of course, if you want a place where you can kind of stay current on where everything's going on, check out our change logs. The description, if you're watching on YouTube, is in, or the link, if you're watching on YouTube, rather, is in the video description. Clearly, I'm rusty at saying words. I haven't said any at all since I left for the holidays. I'm Joe. I'm your host. I'm the content manager here at Phantom Tabletop and D&D Beyond, and I am usually joined by Melly Doucette. Melly's still feeling a little under the weather. Make sure, if you're on Twitter, give Melly a follow. Send her some love. Do it. Kick your day off with a good deed. She's a great person. She deserves some love and respect. So follow her on Twitter. Send some love her way. She's a great person. She deserves better than all the BS she's putting up with in her life right now. That's all I'll say. Now let's jump into our roadmap, everybody. Critical Role, Call of the Netherdeep, is available for pre-order right now. I'm stoked about this book. I like Monsters Under the Deep. I like my adventures. I like Exandria a lot, actually. I admittedly am like a pretty surface Critical Role fan. I listen to the campaigns. Um, I I don't like dig in super deep on like the lore, and if you were like, hey, remember that plot twist in episode 29 of campaign 2, I would be like, I don't. So I'm like a pretty broad strokes fan, right? But over the break, I did start really finally digging into the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, and just have really started to find some really newfound appreciation for Exandria and the world that Matt has built. Got to stay current. My introduction to fantasy was Tolkien and Dragonlance. Kryn, all of these cool little worlds. A lot of new school first experiences with fantasy, Critical Role in Exandria. So I've been digging deep into Wildmount. That's been super fun. So that's got me hyped for Netherdeep, available for pre-order on the D&D Beyond marketplace right now. And of course, we'll be doing all sorts of pre-order goodies and stuff like that for that book. Stay tuned. But I have a feeling that right now, the Call of the Netherdeep is not the book that you are staring at on this roadmap, that you want to gnash your teeth and yell at me about on our pre-order list, because Monsters of the Multiverse also on our pre-order on our marketplace. Here's what I'll tell you about Monsters of the Multiverse. One, it's a book that's sort of meant to kind of open up D&D lore a little bit so that you can sort of feel like you can use anything that you want, in your homebrew world or even in the books that Wizards puts out. If you want to use something from Eberron at Strixhaven, this is a book that's going to be for you. It's also going to be a really cool resource for newer players, like a one-stop shop for a ton of monsters, a ton of player races. The big question that people have for us specifically around Monsters of the Multiverse is, will this replace my previously purchased content? It will not. This will absolutely not replace your previously purchased content at D&D Beyond. We are currently working through with Wizards on the approach, sort of the nuts and bolts approach for making that work. um, Wizards of the Coast has asked us that they would like to sort of take the lead on messaging and stuff like that around this book. We are allowing them that, but we did want to make sure that you all understood that your stuff is not going to get replaced. You're not going to lose anything when this book is released. So I wanted to put that rumor, that concern, to bed. Lots more details to come on Monsters of the Multiverse, but that's a big one we really wanted to get across. In the meantime, that's enough about books. Let's get into features again. Right before the holiday break, we released Encounters into beta, so it is now free to all users. A lot of the times at D&D Beyond, our subscribers usually get early access to tools. So Encounters has been in early access um, for a pretty long time as we built it up and beefed it up. It was comprised of two parts: our encounter builder and then our combat tracker. The encounter builder was more for DM prep, and the combat tracker was more for gameplay. We've now sort of streamlined everything into a single feature called Encounters. Really proud of the team for what they've accomplished with that. And if you are a registered user at D&D Beyond, you can now dig into Encounters, start playing with it, and start using it for your game. So we're super stoked about that. But we also have an update to kick off 2022 to Encounters, which I was super stoked about. So as we dig into this, thank you, Tim Smith, one of our devs over at D&D Beyond, decided, did he want to spend time with friends and family this holiday? No, he did not. He wanted to work on this tool for you as an early 2022 gift. So thank you to Tim Smith, and thank you to your aversion of rest and and taking breaks to spend time with friends and family to bring us the death save tracker on Encounters. This is pretty cool. Just went public this morning. So if you're like, where is it? Just went live. So dig into Encounters, start playing with it. Death Saves Tracker, aside from being the name of my metal album, is going to allow DMs to see when a character reaches death saving throws and will track the number of fails and successes they have right in the tracker. So this is super cool, super convenient for your DMs to just have that right there on Encounters in your gameplay, so you don't sort of have to look elsewhere or keep track or anything like that. It's right there. Um, Makes sense. It's a natural part of combat. It makes sense for it to be a part of Encounters. So thanks, Tim, for adding this. Um, it does not mean that characters can actually roll a death saving throw. So that has not yet been added to the character sheet. This is just showing successes and failures on the tracker. So players will add those successes and failures. They will automatically update on the tracker so that the DM can see them and keep track of them. Super excited about that. Also excited about our sort of next evolution for containers, cointainers, which is a delightful pun that makes me smile every time we say it. I'm going to take a breath, drink some water. Weird side note, if I just because it's noticeable, um, if I start to sort of like trail off vocally a little bit, I was very lucky this holiday. I did not get COVID. I did get nailed with a pretty nasty bug though, and because I was a smoker for so long, they tend to stick with me. in the throat and lungs, a bit of a cough, and a bit of a running out of air before I can finish sentences. So if it's weird and noticeable, know that I did not get COVID, but I am suffering through so many years of spending a lot of money on camel lights. Back to cointainers. So containers can now hold coins. This is currently only available to subscribers for testing purposes. We're tinkering with it, we're playing with it, we're tweaking it a little bit. We're hoping that we can release it to everyone sooner than later. Here's how it works though. If you navigate to your coins in the upper right of your inventory and you click open on the sidebar, you're now going to see a settings cog to the right of the manage coin title. If you click into that settings cog, there's now a selection that says put coins in containers. So you can track individual coin totals for different containers in your inventory. Turning on that cog is going to afford you. My cat is literally throwing up in front of me. I love working from home so much. I'm so glad we're not back in an office or a proper studio. Thank you, baby. I'm so excited to clean that up. Jesus. Sorry. That was awesome. I'm so sorry. Um, Uh-huh. Anything can happen here on the dev update. I apologize, everybody. Let me refocus. So toggling this on is going to afford you the ability to be able to put coins into. She's still going into any inventory item that is a container. So this is super cool. It's another evolution of our inventory project, of our containers project. I am hoping that in the future it is going to lead to a clear mechanic for DMs to be able to steal wallets from players to kick off adventures and quests because they suddenly realize that all their money is gone. So that is my hope for 2022. Pat, please make that happen. It's been a weird one so far, everybody. I apologize. Um, Next on the roadmap, this is available now. Um, uh, Streamlined app updates. So this is just a nice little bit of quality of life for the app. Which, by the way, if you haven't downloaded it and played with it and messed with it, I might be biased because I work here. It's pretty dope. It's worth checking out. So this is a little quality of life update for the app. So the necessity to download an entire book in order to update the app required a lot of time and bandwidth. The team has changed the entire mechanism of updating books to make them smaller, to make them easier to prepare. So you can now expect much easier updates to books that take up much less space. They're going to be a lot easier to download. So in the next coming weeks, we're going to be releasing a few updates to several books to provide the latest versions of the content, and we've trying to make sure that it's a little more streamlined for you, a little more easy for you, a little less of a pain point uh, for y'all. This is currently only available for iOS. We're expecting it to be available for Android uh, very soon. So that is the streamlined app updates. And then finally, let's jump into the generic feature system, um, which is back on the roadmap for 2022. And I just realized that there is a typo on the roadmap, which is very funny given that this is how I'm going to start talking about the generic feature system. Generic feature system not available now. That's on me for screwing up the very first roadmap of 2022. Let me do a little fix right here, literally in real time. Wow, wow, Joe. Soon. There we go. Hey, bam, bam, bam. All right, fixed. God, how many people did I just completely piss off? Probably at least a few. Genuinely, I apologize. I'm smiling because of what I'm about to talk to you about. So, where'd the generic feature system go last year, Joe? The hell did you do? Where did it go? This is a very good question. This is honestly on me. So, the generic feature system is going to be a sort of a catch-all function for a lot of different features that we don't currently support in our books. on D&D Beyond. So things like boons, blessings, charms, secrets, supernatural gifts, future additional rules. This is going to be a system that we're building that will make it much easier to implement these things, so that as Wizards of the Coast introduces new features into D&D, we aren't constantly having to start from scratch on building those and then running to catch up constantly with a ton of tech debt, right? So the generic feature system is going to be our solve for that. It was on our roadmap for 2021. Where did it go? Two things happened, both my fault. The first one was at some point in 2021, I can't pinpoint the correct dev update off the top of my head. We had a ton of stuff on the roadmap, and because the generic feature system wasn't, imminent, I removed it from the roadmap to make room for like three other things. Right? We were just getting to the point where I couldn't make the font any smaller to fit the entire roadmap, and I removed the generic feature system for that week. Then I forgot to put it back on. That's it. That's my bad. So that happened. In the meantime, some priorities shifted on the dev team, which pushed the generic feature system technically off the roadmap and into this year and into 2022. Um, I did a poor job last year of communicating with them, coordinating with them, and saying, and just checking in to really, make sure I was current and up to date. There are a lot of things going on, but ultimately, that lands with me. We have worked through that, and we now sort of have a process where I'm actually completely current on literally everything that they're building on the day to day, where I don't even have to ask. I don't even have to check in with anybody. I don't even have to talk to anybody. I can just check to make sure that my roadmap looks good and is in sync with theirs. So that was two dumb things that happened to the generic feature system last year, because I know people were asking about it. Um, it's back on the roadmap for 2022. The silver lining in it sort of being deprioritized in 2021 um, due to some just shifts in dev priorities. A lot of things in the fire that we can't make public yet, that we can't communicate with you guys yet, but we think are going to be really, really cool. Um, the good news for the generic feature system is in the background work was continuing on it. So they're in a much sort of stronger place with starting work on the generic feature system than they were in 2021. And then we'll continue to have members of the team come on over the next couple months to start digging in deep with you on that project. So that's 2022, you guys, at least so far. Um, if you're regular here, if you watch us weekly, the roadmap's always changing. We're always making additions. We're releasing stuff all the time. We're making updates all the time. So this is our start, and I think it's a pretty strong start. And I'm still so distracted by this dumb cat, and I apologize for that. But what a better way to kick off 2022 than just vomit directly off camera? Am I right, guys? Am I right? Um, I'm going to jump into a little Q&A for the Twitch, but if you're watching on YouTube in the future, uh, drop your comments, drop your questions below. We see them, we catalog them, we really do pay attention to them. If there's stuff you want, if there's stuff you want fixed, if there's stuff you don't think we should be doing, put it in there. We'll put it through our feedback flow system, and it'll get into the hands of the right people. Honestly, we look at all of it. We really, really do. Unless it's just cruel and mean and dumb, and you get muted if you're cruel and mean and dumb. So hit like, subscribe, blah blah blah, all that YouTube jargon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the Dev Update.